Hello. Welcome to Bitches Love Sports.
Ooh, what's up?
I'm bitch 2.
I'm bitch 1. What's up?
And this is our first episode. Don't judge us too harshly. So, Bitches Love Sports. This is a podcast about bitches who love sports and the way we love sports. We're sports fans. We like watching the game, but we also think the way that we love sports and the way we interact with the sports world is different than some people. Mm-hmm.
So, to put it that way, that's a good way to say it.
So we're just gonna express our thoughts and
opinions. We're gonna give our opinion.
Yeah, thoughts, opinions. This is a terrible intro. All right, so first things first. Suns versus Bucks. All right, so last night was game 4.
Number 4. Mm-hmm.
I was expecting that night to end with the Suns being up 3-1.
I think a lot of people were. I know I was.
Like, I just knew that after game 3, they were going to come back with a vengeance, and they kind of did. Devin Booker came back like...
He was hot last night.
Oh, my God. He's hot all the time.
As soon as I said that, I knew it. As soon as I said that, I'm like, all right, well, I made my own bet on that one.
Even when he only scores 12 points, he's still hot. But last night, he was especially hot on the court.
To be technical about it.
Yes, I mean, 42 points. Like, he came back with a vengeance, like I said.
Sure.
But as a whole... Well, let me ask you this. As a whole, is it that the Suns let us down? I don't even know who you expect to win. Who do you want to win? Because I know I want the Suns to win.
I didn't really so my team is not on the playoffs, so whatever. But I wanted the Suns to win because I really like Booker. Mm-hmm. But I really, really, really like Giannis too. So I was very torn. So the third game, I was like, oh, okay, maybe the Bucks will come back. And then watching it last night, I'm like, all right, well, it's over. And then my coworker is from Milwaukee. Well, he's from Wisconsin. So I'm like, oh, we'll have something to talk about. But I don't know. I think I want the Suns to win.
I really want the Suns to win. And I like Giannis too. I really do. I've liked him for a long time.
I love him.
And last night he was
yes. He was hot.
I like when he plays aggressive like he did last night.
Yes.
Because one, it is hot, like you said. Like there's a big difference whenever he's being like, oh, I'm the Giannis that's gonna stay away from the action and shoot threes and as opposed to the.
Did you see the interview after the game?
I didn't.
When he was like, because they were asking him why he left, and then he was like, well, how do you say this politely? He was like, I had to tinkle. It's just so fucking adorable. Like, you gotta love him.
But yes, the Giannis that attacks the paint and makes phenomenal blocks on the opposing team. Like, yes. Super, super hot.
Yes.
So with that being said, like I wanted to see the Suns win because I'm a Chris Paul fan. I have loved Chris Paul since he was with the New Orleans Hornets.
Definitely a goat.
Mm-hmm. And I've been a fan of his for a long time. I really want to see him get this ring. But last night, it really did feel like a combination. It felt like the Bucks turned up. So the Bucks won. But last night, and I hate to say this out loud, but Chris Paul especially disappointed me with all the turnovers. That's just not characteristic for him. Mm-hmm. It felt like the Suns really let this game go. And so when I was thinking about it, like, did the Suns lose or did the Bucks win? For me, I had to come to the conclusion that at the end of the day, the Suns lost. Because the Bucks were turned up the whole game, right? Mm-hmm. But the Suns, for the most part, maintained a lead. But in that fourth quarter, they just kind of fell apart. There were turnovers, there were missed shots, there were unnecessary fouls.
There were falls.
And I feel like had they been the same team that they were for the other 3 quarters, it would have been close, but they would have won.
I believe so. I was shocked. That fourth quarter, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But honestly, like, it was hard for both teams to score. Like, it was hard to make a basket for both teams. Like, they were not making a basket. It was like, what's happening? Why are you not? What is your aim now? What happened? What happened in this quarter?
Yes. For a while it was like that. It seemed like it was going to be a very low scoring game.
Yeah.
So So on that note, we're talking about how the Suns pretty much lost that game for themselves. Do you think that would have still been the case had Devin Booker not ended up with 5 fouls? Because what was it?
Question of the $1 million.
7-ish, 9-ish minutes, something like that. Yeah. Devin Booker got 5 fouls and ended up going to the bench.
Mm-hmm. They put him on like what? Like it was like 4 minutes left.
It was more than that. It was somewhere around
5,
7 or 9 minutes.
No.
Hold on.
Yeah. Get that fact because we were watching it. He got sent to the bench. It was like maybe 10 minutes left and 9 minutes left, and they put him back.
Are you talking about when they put him back in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think they put him back in about 4 minutes.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you were asking.
Yeah, no. I was asking when they took him out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good like 5 minutes plus that he was out of the game.
Yes.
And it felt like that's when the Bucks were like, okay, we don't have to worry about this guy anymore.
Yeah.
At least he's gone.
Yeah.
So now we're about to like really take off.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're kind of in agreement that had that not happened, the outcome might have been a little bit different.
Well, I have a lot of feelings about that because I do believe that the Bucks should have taken a lot more advantage of those 5 minutes than they did. But I also don't like the fact that, quote unquote, one person makes the team. So just because Booker was out doesn't mean that the Suns couldn't have won. But it felt from like watching it from outside, it felt like, oh shit, we lost Booker. Now what are we gonna do? Like they all lost it. They all were like, oh shit, what are we gonna do now? Like now we just need to maintain, and they barely maintained it. Like it was a little weird to watch, honestly, because like yeah, he's great. Like he's gonna make the Hall of Fame, whatever. Like he's great, but I don't know. I feel like they could have won anyways. They just lost it too because he was out for 5 minutes.
Yeah, something definitely got in their heads. Mm-hmm. I was watching a show this morning and one of the talking heads in the sports world said something about how like there must be something wrong with Chris Paul. And I'm like,
whoa.
But okay. I don't know what he meant by that. I was like, does he mean like residual effects of COVID? Like and I don't think I would go so far as to say like there's something wrong with him in general, but something definitely happened in that fourth quarter just because like especially one turnover, it didn't even look like it was a forced turnover. It looked like he just fell. And I was like,
fell. Yes.
I was like, what is this?
Yes. It was wild. It was just wild, like very unexpected. I don't know. It was weird for me to watch that.
Yeah. So I definitely wanted to see the Suns go up 3-1, but that's not where we are. Now we're 2-2. A lot of people are excited. They're like, oh, now we have a series. I'm like, it just makes me nervous. I'm like, I don't care about having a series. I want to see my team win. I want to see Chris Paul get this ring. And I mean, it's good to know that we'll have more basketball. That's awesome. But now I'm just stressed.
You were stressed out last night when we were texting. I could tell. I could feel it through the text. This is stressing me out.
I'm so upset. I'm so disappointed. So let's get back on the topic of Devin Booker.
Your favorite.
No, this is a real topic. I'm not just talking about him just to talk about him. Although I could talk about Devin Booker all day.
I'm well aware.
So he said something in his post-game interview. They asked him how it felt to score 42 points and still have his team lose. And he said something that I thought was pretty insightful. He said, I'm paraphrasing here. He said that since the objective is to win, it doesn't matter how many points he scored. The objective is to win. So whatever happened during the game, it happened. And since they didn't win, that's all that really matters. Like, pretty much we get the W or we don't. Like, I'm not thinking about like, oh, I scored 42 points and my team let me down. It's like, no, as a team, we should have got the W and we didn't.
Team player. Good for you, Booker.
Team player. I thought it was an insightful response. Yeah. I thought it was a mature response.
Yeah. He didn't have to go tinkle.
Oh, goodness. Leave Giannis alone. The press is the one who asked him that ridiculous question. Why would you ask somebody something like that?
This is another thing too. Like, why would you ask that question? What does it matter?
Because the press is nosy. But we're gonna get to that. But the press is nosy. But it kind of made me think of another comment that another talking head made when referring to Booker and the fouls that he got. So in the fourth quarter, he got benched with 5 fouls. But then he came back in the game, and I don't know if he thought his fouls reset.
I'm back to 0.
Like, I don't know if he thought you sit out so many minutes, it's like you just go back to 0. I don't know what happened. No, but for real, he was playing aggressively the entire game. Right. And so that's how he got to 5 fouls in the first place. Mm-hmm. And someone said that since he knew he was at 5 fouls, he should have played more conservatively. He should have made better choices when he came back because he was running the risk of fouling out. And, I mean, let's be real. Had the refs been calling everything, and I'm not going to say that they were playing favorites with Booker because a lot of calls are missed. Like, there are good calls, there are bad calls, there are missed calls. Oh, yeah. Like, we're all humans. Yes. It happens. Yes. You know, but for whatever reason, he should have fouled out probably 3 or 4 times. And whistles were broken. They were like, is this thing on? It's not working. Yes. I don't know what's happening.
That last quarter felt like the whistles were broken.
Yeah, like, they were.
We're just going to let Joe play. You do you, boo. Whatever floats your boat. We're just going to be watching from the sideline at this point.
Right. As a matter of fact, it was like, it's not even that Booker thought his fouls reset. It's like the refs thought. I'm like, I don't know. Like, maybe the refs were like, this game is too close. If the Bucks lose, they're not gonna say it was because of us. Right. Leave that man in. I don't care what happens. Right. He's gonna stay in the team.
We're not gonna give you an excuse. We're doing it for you anyways.
Right. I don't know what happened. Oh goodness. But anyway, so yeah, someone said that that was a sign of immaturity. I didn't think it was a sign of immaturity. I just thought it was a sign that he was a competitor. And when he saw certain moments that, in his opinion, felt called for being more physical, more aggressive, he did what he felt he had to do. Because, as he said in that post-game interview, he was more concerned with getting the W. And to me, that just says he trusted his teammates to get the job done. If he fouled out, right. Mm-hmm. You know, he just didn't want to drop the ball in those specific moments, you know? And so what do you think about that? Because I feel like we see physical players all the time who might foul out on what we feel like are dumb plays. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody say those players are immature. Yeah. You know, it's like we've seen players get unnecessary technicals, get fined for ridiculous things. Sure. Mm-hmm. Like, even when Patrick Beverley broke Devin Booker's nose, and nobody was like, he's playing like a child. Yeah. He's playing like a 3-year-old with a tantrum. Yeah. They were like, well, you know, Patrick Beverley is very physical. He gets in people's faces. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what do you think about those comments?
I don't know. I feel like, I feel like he was playing the same game that he was playing before he got benched. For those 5 minutes, he was not being more aggressive or less aggressive. He was playing the exact same game. Yes, that's why he got all the fouls that he got, because it was a very physical game anyway. Yes. Like, it was not just him. I don't think he was immature for doing what he did. Like you said, I feel like he was trusting his teammates to finish the job if he got fouled out. But I don't know. People just like to talk a lot. You know, that's why we're here.
People keep talking about how young he is. I'm like, I get it. He's 24. I get it. You know,
there's
3 years
younger players in the league.
There are.
What are you talking about?
But it just feels like after every game, somebody's like, this young guy is, you know, really showing up for his team.
They're just
I'm like, he's been on the team for 3 years. He played basketball before that. He's got experience.
Yeah, he wouldn't have made it this far if he didn't have any experience. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like people, I don't know, these comments of like, oh, he's young, or like, no, like, there was a lot of young players that you might have not even like noticed because he wasn't maybe as physical. But shit, there's a lot of physical players. You're just gonna blame it on his age. You're gonna blame his gameplay or his style on his age.
I really don't understand why they keep bringing up his age. Like, is 24 young compared to Chris Paul's 36? I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But honestly, if nobody told me either of their ages, I wouldn't be looking at them like, oh, that guy is old and this guy's young.
Right.
It's just two players. They have somewhat of different styles. Chris Paul, you can tell his leadership skills are more developed.
Right.
The team seems to have a certain level of reverence for him, which if somebody said, if you had to guess which one is older, who would you pick? I'd look at that guy. I'm like, yeah, for some reason, he's treated with a sense of seniority here, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know why they keep bringing it up, and I just kind of wish they would focus on something else.
How about the actual game?
Well, I can't really judge people for not focusing. But
you're just not focusing on his age. You're just fucking talking else about him, but not just his age.
No, like for real. In that last series, they kept hitting him in the face, and I was like, they're just jealous.
You would have messed up his cute ass face.
They're just jealous. They trying to mess up his face. I can't believe this.
Well, he also got hit in the face game 2.
He keeps getting hit in the face.
Yeah, true. But I was like, oh shit, like we were watching the game and my boyfriend was like, oh fuck, did he get his nose broken again? I'm like, I hope not. Between Giannis just getting his knee and now Booker getting his nose, like let's just not, you guys. Let's just not.
Giannis and the knee. I'm surprised he is playing
walking?
Right now. Yes, walking. Like, I mean, I was like, even when he got up after that hyperextension and he was walking, I was surprised at that because the announcers were like, let's see if he can put weight on it. That'll be the telltale sign. And in my mind, I was like, hell no. But then he was, and I was like, oh, interesting. But then I thought for sure he wasn't going to be back. And then he came back for this series. And I'm like, wait. What is happening?
Hold up. Yeah.
And not only is he back, he's playing with a level of ferocity and aggressiveness that he didn't even have before. So I don't know if his career flashed before his eyes and he's like, maybe YOLO, like, or what. But it's just like, like I said, I want the Suns to win, but I do love Giannis. Yeah. And it's like, I'm proud of the way he's playing. I'm kind of scared because I'm hoping that he's not, putting unnecessary stress on like a lingering injury. I'm hoping this doesn't come back to bite him.
Agreed.
But yeah, I'm very impressed that he came back. I've been impressed by all the people who bounced back from injuries in this postseason. So you've had like just talking about the Suns and Bucks, you've had Giannis, coming back after that knee injury. Chris Paul dealt with this shoulder issue and bounced back from COVID. Well, I don't know how bad his symptoms were, but he's still
gonna get fucked up anyways at some point.
He still dealt with that, came back. But I will say when Devin Booker's nose got broken, I thought he was gonna be out for the rest of the game. I don't know why he came back out and finished that game.
That was legit crazy.
I'm like, yeah, call that immature. What? Because here was my thing. Here's what I was thinking when I was watching that. I'm like, this man went in the back and got stitches, which means one of two things. Either they stitched him up with no medication, or his face is partially numb right now. Either way, it doesn't sound like the type of thing that you want to go back out and play a very physical game while you're dealing with. Yeah. Not only that, but they stuffed gauze in his nose because like his nose was still bleeding,
right?
And you could see the gauze just like starting to soak up the blood. Like it was turning red, and I was like, I wish the cameras would find a different angle. This is so gross. But I'm like, how are you running up and down the court with gauze stuffed up your nose? And his nose was like swollen and crooked, so you could tell it was broken. I'm like, there's no way this man is not in immense levels of pain right now. Unless they gave him that good shit. In which case, you should not be playing if you're drugged up. Yeah. So I'm just like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I was just like, I was in awe. I was like, oh my goodness. Like,
maybe he didn't get any meds, but because of all the adrenaline still running, like he was like numb, quote unquote.
Could be.
From the adrenaline.
Could be. I've been there. I will never forget. I had a bout where it was head-to-head contact with another skater, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine." And I went through the protocols. They ask you all the questions, all that stuff. I was I was like, I'm good. And I realized after the game, I was like, I'm concussed. But I didn't know what to do. I was already in my car. And I was just like, I think I texted somebody and I was like, I feel like I don't have much options but to just finish this drive home. But, just make sure I text you that I got home safe. But like, and I think that's part of the reason why sometimes concussion symptoms don't show up till later. I just think that adrenaline, because I finished that bout and everything. I sat out my 3 jams. Like, I got a penalty on that play, and then I sat out my 3 jams, and then I finished. I was fine. And then later it was just like, yeah, this is not good. Same thing that has happened with like ankle injuries or like times that I've gotten cut and didn't realize I was cut until the game was over. And I'm like, oh, wow. Because that Velcro will get you.
Oh, shit.
All right. So we'll see what happens in game 5. They're going to be back at Suns Arena, which I've got to make this note about Suns Arena.
Let's hear this note.
I love watching games that happen at Suns Arena. They have the best music. Their fans are always just crazy. I know they talk about like other fans being excited. The Milwaukee fans, they were really into it. But the Suns fans just be on a whole nother level. Their music is always awesome. The music in that arena is so good. It makes the TV experience better. Like, that environment looks so fun that it makes me want to go watch a game there, like, just to do it. Like, I don't normally feel that way whenever I'm like looking at basketball on TV. Like, if I happen to be in a city that has a basketball game live and I can catch it, I will. But that's like the first place that I've been like, dang, I really want to go and just like experience that. That seems like fun.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Anyway, game 5 happens on Saturday. We'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. I hope Devin Booker goes off again. Because one, like, there's nothing hotter than watching good-looking men just show the fuck off athletically.
Yeah.
And I was actually having this thought. Tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
I was like, would I be enjoying this series as much if there weren't so many good-looking dudes? Because I'm just like, Giannis, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, I'm just like, eye candy all day.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I agree 100%. 100%. Yeah, my boyfriend called Giannis my boy. Oh, they put your boy out again. Ooh,
those arms.
I know. It's everything. That face. Everything is just so cute and hot and that ass. Like, come on. Let's all be fair. Shit. Anyway.
With Devin Booker, for me, it was the voice. The first time I heard him in a post-game interview and like how deep his voice is, and he's actually a really good speaker. He's not like some athletes, they like talk like they just don't have shit to say ever. Mm-hmm. But like he always has like really good responses.
Pretty diplomatic.
Like I'm like, I could just talk to you all day. Like
I could just hear you talk all day.
Right, just make an audiobook or something.
Oh Lord. Oh, that's good. I don't know. I mean, I feel like you particularly would watch it anyways.
I would.
You have this love for basketball that not a lot of people do, or sports in general. Me, on the other hand, I would probably watch it. I would just probably not be as focused on the game, maybe.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Because there definitely have been some games
I would have it in the background or something, but like not actively watch it.
Yes, I've been that way with some games and series. And honestly, I think every fan is like that to some extent. It may not be based on the same criteria, right, like who's hot and who's not. But we all have those games where it's like, I want to know the outcome, but I don't care enough to watch it.
Right. And like maybe your team is not playing, but you still care about the sport. So you have the game in the bag, but
right,
like not really paying attention to it.
Right. So yeah, that's fair. All right, game 5 on Saturday. We'll see what happens.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
CP3, get it together. All right. So before we dip out, I just want to talk real quick about another couple of topics. So first one, Naomi Osaka is coming back next month from her hiatus. So the first thing I want to bring up about her hiatus from tennis, so many headlines were like, Naomi Osaka is taking a break because of her mental health. Now, don't get me wrong. The situation was related to her mental health. But when she decided to take her break, I wish I had a direct quote pulled up here, but what she said was that she needed a break from media scrutiny. That's what she said specifically. And the break actually came about because she, at first, was just not going to do the post-match press conferences. And that caused her to be fined. That caused her to receive a lot of criticism from the people who were running the French Open, from the media, from people in the tennis world in general. I remember even people were asking Serena about Naomi's mental health.
What?
You know, like, I guess basically trying to either validate or invalidate what Naomi was saying. And of course, Serena gave a good answer.
She always does.
Basically saying that not everybody is the same.
Right.
So people will respond differently to certain things, and she couldn't answer for Naomi. That's fair. But just even the fact that they were asking Serena instead of just respecting what Naomi was saying, to me, I was like, this is what she's talking about.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know how often you watch post-game or post-match interviews, but sometimes those questions are just like, you know, I'm not a professional athlete that gets paid for what I do, but I have played games that meant a lot to me. And if I had to then go in a room and listen to people basically say like, yeah, so do you feel like shit that you like played like trash today? Like, how do you feel about the fact that it could very well be your fault that your team lost this game? Like, do you think your teammates hate you now? Like, what do you think the future is for you on this team right now after suffering this debilitating loss? Tell us. And it's like, you're still just trying to like probably get past being upset about something that happened in the game. Maybe you are upset about your performance, and they basically just want to pour salt in these rooms.
They are. They literally are. They literally are.
That's what I meant earlier when I was like, the press is messy.
Yes, it's very. It's
so
very
of course
messy.
they're gonna ask Giannis like why he left at some point. I will never forget because this was a moment that happened in maybe it was might have been the 2016 Olympics. I think I don't remember which one, but there was a gymnastics competition, and I remember they had the mics on some of the female gymnasts. And they were like listening to them in between their floor routines, which I like, once again, me being a female athlete, I'm like, you might not want to do that. And I remember, because like sometimes we're talking about things that are okay. Sometimes we're talking about things that just should not be broadcast on national television.
100%.
And I remember they started talking. One of them stepped down from doing their floor routine, and they were like, her teammates were like, oh my God, you did so good. And she was like, oh man, I felt like I was going to vomit. And another one was like, oh, I felt like I was going to vomit earlier. So now you basically have these four girls talking about puking on national television, which they probably weren't even thinking about the fact that they were mic'd, but because like, you know, the media's got to get as much as they can. You know, it's like we need mics in the locker room, we need mics on the sideline, we need mics on the gymnast. We want to hear everything.
Yeah, it's just too much.
it's a lot. Much. Or even like with Giannis's injury, like that was a hyperextended knee, and they played that mess over and over and over again. And I'm like, would y'all give this man some privacy to like writhe on the floor in pain?
And the rest of us, I don't want to have to dry heave anymore. Like, I'm okay. I don't need to watch this anymore. I already watched it.
Anyway, getting back to Naomi Osaka, I felt like as soon as she said what she said, I was like, she's got a point, you know? And I don't think that just because athletes are like, some people are like, well, this is your job. You signed up for it. And it's like, but I don't think people really always realize the toll that something will take on them when they sign up for it. Not to mention that maybe she's evolved over time. Maybe years ago, she was okay with that, and now she notices the toll that it's taking on her. But I think because professional athletes get paid so much, people almost act like they don't deserve a certain level of consideration and respect, because it's like
they're not human beings anymore. They're
exactly.
Just objects.
It came up with when LeBron was talking about NBA players being injured, which I'll talk about in a second. But it was that same idea that like you get paid so much money, you know, shut up and deal with the ramifications of your sport. And I feel like that's what happened here between the money and this idea that professional athletes are so quote unquote tough. Their humanity gets taken away. And it's so unfortunate that it takes so much and that players have to sacrifice so much just to feel like they're respected and just to feel like their mental health is being taken into consideration. Anyway, so she said that Naomi Osaka said that she's coming back in August. And there's actually a Netflix docuseries that's going to come out based on Naomi Osaka's life as a professional tennis athlete for the past couple of years. So according to Yahoo Entertainment, the 3-part series, debuting Friday, that's tomorrow, is a contemplative, intimate look at a young athlete finding her way. Film of major tournaments, wins, and losses is interwoven with scenes of Osaka's time with family and her boyfriend, the rapper Corday, her training and business demands, Osaka's reflections on her career, multiracial identity, and the death of mentor Kobe Bryant, and her decision to protest police killings of black men and women. So that's going to cover a lot. But so like I said, when she withdrew, she said she withdrew to take a break from media scrutiny. But all the headlines were like, oh, it's her mental health. It's like, no, it's not her mental health, it's y'all.
Yeah.
But of course the media isn't gonna be like, she's withdrawing because we're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, that's what they will never be considered assholes to themselves. You know, this is my job. But what you don't understand is that's her job too. And you're not, if you want to be taken into consideration to do your job, then let her do her job.
Right. But she's not the first athlete to kind of talk about the fact that other athletes do deal with mental health issues. So you had Michael Phelps in 2014. He dealt with a DUI that led to depression and a situation where he was contemplating suicide. And he's done interviews where he's talked about this. And he spent 45 days in a treatment facility. Kevin Love last year received the Arthur Ashe Award at the ESPYs for his work on mental health awareness and for shedding a light on anxiety and depression issues. And he's talked publicly about a panic attack that he had during a game that was so intense it was physically debilitating. Like, he felt like he couldn't go back out. And so this is something that comes up every now and then, and it's something that I thought about recently with the situation with Richard Sherman, that there have been a few headlines about, but I haven't really seen a lot of it talked about as far as like the popular sports shows, and maybe that's because so many details are unfolding. But one of the first things that I noticed about Richard Sherman's recent situation was the headlines. So the first headlines that I started getting notifications for said that Richard Sherman was arrested for burglary, domestic violence.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that sounds pretty effing bad, right?
Yes.
But I was like, domestic violence and burglary. Okay, he's married. So if it was domestic violence, it would have had to have been committed against his wife. So then how is it burglary if he's breaking into his own house?
His own house, right.
And so I was like, something about this seems weird. So the articles that I started reading, everyone kept saying, the home, a home, the occupant. So I was like, okay, so either he's got another family somewhere.
Yeah,
or
life, what's happening?
Right, or like something's going on with this family life. I'm like, it was just an odd way for the story to be reported. So come to find out, there was a situation where he was driving impaired, intoxicated, crashed into a construction zone, and then later he ended up at an in-law's house and was trying to get in. And it's hard to say what happened because, like, as articles keep coming out, more details keep coming out.
Right.
And so the latest set of details says that he was depressed and suicidal, and then he got into his vehicle and was driving. And so I'm wondering if he made a bad decision to drive, crashed, got scared because of who he is, didn't want to get a DUI, and then ended up at an in-law's house, and they either didn't recognize him because he was drunk and belligerent or something, and that's why they wouldn't let him in. It's really hard to tell what exactly happened. So maybe that's why nobody is talking about it. Right. But I'm talking about it because one of the most significant things to me was that all these headlines at first said domestic violence, which makes it sound like he beat somebody up. Turns out he didn't actually assault anyone. It was called domestic violence because of his relationship to the people inside the home, his in-laws, that he was trying to break into. And I'm just like, why would y'all say domestic violence?
Yes.
Like, that was a misleading headline. Why would they say it? For clicks, of course. But
well, yeah, because then exactly. That's exactly it.
But I want you to listen to this 911 call. And I was really upset with this dispatcher. But I want you to hear this and then tell me your thoughts.
I feel like I'm about to get triggered.
911, what are you reporting? I need officers to my house now. My husband is drunk and belligerent. Whatever. Be on Osaka. he's trying to leave now. His house, he's being aggressive. He's wrestling with my uncle. He's threatening to kill himself. He has sent text messages to people saying he's going to hang himself.
That's key already.
And he's saying that if the police show up, that so please don't shoot is what I'm asking.
Okay, wait. Say that again.
He has no
He
weapon.
says if the
He
police
has.
show
He
up,
said
what?
if the police show up, that he'll try to fight them. So they need to understand that he is.
Okay. Listen, just what's your phone number there? Okay, and has it been physical to anybody there? You said he's trying to fight
Yes,
your uncle.
yes, it has. Yes, it has.
How has it been physical?
He's just trying to fight him.
Okay, trying to fight somebody and actually being
Yes,
physical
he
is
did.
two
He
different
did.
things.
Okay.
How has it been physical?
He's pulling out now. He's trying to leave. He's fucking.
Okay, what kind of car? What kind of car?
It's a 2016 black Mercedes BBC3425. Richard, please stop.
Boy. Hello.
BBBB3425. Richard, please stop. Please stop.
That is a sedan SUV.
It's a black sedan Mercedes SUV.
Okay.
He's not gonna be able to get out the gate. I cut it off.
What do you mean you cut it off?
I cut the gate. He lives behind it. It's Richard Sherman. Like, ma'am, this is like a fucking emergency. I need officers here
Listen to
now.
me. I'm handling this. You need to stop telling me that.
Okay.
Whoa.
Slow help down.
He
Stop
just got
telling
out
me
the
it's not
gate.
gonna slow help down.
Okay, well, but I need to know is that he
What's
is
your
like-
name?
My name is Ashley Sherman.
Wow.
You know what his date of birth is?
338.
Okay, slow down so I can understand you. What's the date of birth?
March 30th, 1988.
Does anybody need an ambulance there? You said it was physical.
No, we don't need it.
Okay. And he does not have any weapons or access to weapons?
No.
Okay, and how much does he have to drink tonight?
2 bottles.
2 bottles of what?
Now, a vodka and Hennessy.
Okay, hard alcohol.
He's intoxicated.
Okay, sir. I can only talk to one person, so please put the phone down and talk to Ashley.
Okay, it's the sheriff on the way.
Okay, listen, it's over on dispatch, okay? Talking to me is not gonna slow anything else down.
Someone fucking gets killed, bro. Like,
Okay, I'll let you off the line. The officers have the information.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That dispatch operator
You should
was
have been
out of
home
pocket.
that day. Yes. Yes, you're the one that needed dispatch too, girl. Fuck.
She just sounded insensitive as hell. Just,
Yes. Like, how can you have that job? Like, listen, I understand everybody has days. Everybody, has stuff in their lives. I understand that. But you also need to take mental days, dude. Like, if you're gonna go to work to help people in actual danger for X amount of hours a day, and you feel like you can't do it, don't go to work.
I feel like I learned better interpersonal skills working for Verizon Wireless. Seriously, there were so many things I heard on that call that I'm just like, yeah, when I was working customer service for Verizon, like my supervisor would have pulled me to the side and been like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you saying?
These customers are having issues with their phone. You need to be a little bit more empathetic. That's what I would have gotten.
Yeah.
Here this woman is,
Oh,
dealing
Lord.
with this traumatic situation with her husband. And this dispatcher is just like, ma'am, I need you to stop.
Yes.
Don't say that to
Yes,
me.
you listen. What do you mean you listen? What?
And I understand that there was information that she had that she needed, right? That I understand. What I'm saying is her tone, her
Yes.
verbiage,
Yes.
just did not.
The whole demeanor.
Nothing about her demeanor said, "I'm trying to help you."
Right.
I assure you that I can help you. Like,
Right.
Nothing about it said that. So
Like,
maybe these dispatch operators need to go and get training at Verizon Wireless. Figure some things out.
Dude, just wait a couple of tables, man. That will give you some customer too. Like, I don't know. That's like, you're supposed to be calming the person calling down. That's what you're supposed to be doing, not stressing them out more than they already are, going through this very traumatic experience at this specific moment, like right now, and the only thing that you're doing is adding stress to the situation. You're not helping.
Yeah, but one thing I was thinking about as I was listening to that just now, I was thinking about what I said before the clip when I said, basically along the lines of the press doesn't care. And I was like, well, maybe that's why it hasn't been discussed on TV. Maybe they are trying to be considerate for what's going on with his family and what may or may not be going on with his mental health. Because, as soon as you really publicize things like that, people start making all kinds of assumptions,
Yeah.
And so it looks like the most recent headlines say that he has been released from jail. Initially, he was being held without bail because that is the protocol for a domestic violence situation. But that was one of the things that I took issue with, because I was like, this isn't that kind of domestic violence situation. He doesn't need to be incarcerated. He doesn't need to be held in jail without bail.
Bond, yeah.
He needs to be in a treatment facility.
He needs a therapist. That's what he needs. He needs help. That's what he needs. When she started saying he was threatening to kill himself, because she never said that he was threatening somebody else's life. She never said that she felt somebody else's life was in danger besides him.
Right.
She said he's threatening with killing himself, hanging himself, whatever. That should have been enough for the dispatcher to be all right, we're gonna take this. And that was at almost very not at the very beginning, but very early in the call.
Right. And if you listen to
her, chill the fuck up after that.
If you listen to what she's saying, she's afraid not only that he will hurt himself, she's afraid that the cops are going to kill him.
Well, yes.
And I'm like, that woman had to have been...
Yes, don't shoot him. Tell him to not shoot him.
I cannot imagine the level of just stress and fear that she must have felt in those moments. Yeah. But it looks like the most recent news is that a King County District Court judge determined that Sherman committed criminal trespassing, malicious mischief, driving under the influence, and resisting arrest. So I guess the domestic violence bit has kind of been dropped. He was initially booked on a felony residential burglary. Sherman is not allowed to have contact with his father-in-law, and he cannot use alcohol or non-prescription drugs, the judge ordered.
That's fair.
Sherman was investigated for 2 incidents that occurred in the early morning hours of July 14th. The driver of the vehicle, which was registered to Sherman, crashed into a construction site somewhere along Highway 520 before driving off. The damaged vehicle was found less than a mile away, abandoned. So there's that. There's a lot more to it. There was an issue with the police dogs, which he suffered a couple of injuries from the dogs, and it seems like he's okay. And so other than that,
they bring dogs?
I'm not sure. I can't answer that.
Are they on a shortage of cops somewhere? I
mean, there were
in this country?
I don't know how cops got involved, or I don't know how dogs got involved in that particular altercation. I thought dogs were for sniffing out drugs.
Yes,
so I'm if a man gets involved in an altercation with police officers, are we sicking dogs on people now? That's what it sounds like happened, because that's what it said.
That really got me wait, what?
And here's how they described it. They said, Lowe said a police dog was used to help arrest him.
What?
And Sherman suffered a cut on his lower leg as a result.
Oh, so the dog was carrying
the dog. The dog wasn't carrying the handcuffs. A dog helped arrest him, and he suffered a cut on his lower leg, probably from the dog's teeth.
Yes,
that's a really interesting way to say we sicked the dog on him.
That's wild. That's wild.
That conversation is literally a whole different topic.
Oh, well, yeah. Yes, I know.
I'm just saying there's a reason why a lot of people wish that people trained to deal with certain situations could be called out for stuff like this instead of police officers that need dogs to help them arrest someone.
You could have sent a social worker, or a therapist.
He also was fighting the cops. I don't know if you could.
Well,
social worker.
But we don't know how the cops showed up either. If they showed up and be already, and you're already all riled up, there's a big chance you're gonna quote unquote fight back.
But yeah, so that situation just had me thinking about athletes' mental health and just like how little consideration we tend to give it as fans. And to be honest, I don't know what the real answer is, because even in this situation, it's not like Richard Sherman has been in the press a lot recently, so this isn't something that we can blame on media coverage.
Right.
But could it possibly be related to expectations that he feels he's falling short of because of his celebrity? Like, you know, we don't know.
Right.
And so I'm not really bringing this up because I feel like I have an answer. I'm more so bringing it up just to shine a light on it and just to remind people, like,
they're also humans.
They're also humans.
They have problems. They do suffer depression, anxiety, like any other person. They do suffer from addiction, like any other person. They are human beings, just like everybody else.
And like other human beings, their bodies can break down, and they deal with physical injuries.
Exactly.
And that's why I thought it was just so odd for some of the talking heads to say things about LeBron like, you get paid X amount of millions of dollars. How can you complain about not recovering properly? And I'm like, their inability to recover properly, the lack of time to rest and recover properly can have an impact on their career, on their legacy. Like we've seen so many conversations happen during these playoffs talking about, oh, well, had so-and-so not been injured, would their team have won this series? And so it's like, we won't ever have the real answer to that question. We can speculate. But the fact of the matter is, those injuries are affecting their legacy. So even if a person is making millions of dollars, I don't think it's out of pocket for them to be like, hey, like, you know, we're kind of being run ragged here. Can, you know, we're not machines. Could you please consider our physical health? I don't think that's out of line, regardless of how much money you're making.
No. They should. How are they going to, that's what you were saying, like, how are they going to perform to their 100% on the next game or whenever they can play if they don't heal properly from the injury that they have?
Right. I don't think we should
but then they would be judged too. Like, they're back and now they can't even play. They're not even doing this.
Yeah, we saw it happen with Anthony Davis. Like, he got an injury and, you know, people started talking, oh, he's so injury prone. The head trainer for the Lakers got fired. And maybe the head trainer deserved to be fired. I don't know. Yeah. Because I know I was thinking, and I was just like, what?
Well, there's a reason. There's probably a reason. You know? If he's not healing properly, of course he's going to get injured again and again and again. Like, that's just how injuries, that's just how it works. If anybody's been in the sports world for like a minute, if you play any sports, you know, if you get hurt, you need to heal for you to come back to play.
Right.
Period.
Even if you don't get hurt, any strength and conditioning professional will tell you that if you are not recovering properly, you're increasing your risk of injury, right? So if you're not getting enough of a rest period, if you are like, one of the things about training as an athlete is that you typically will train certain things during certain parts of the year. And for a lot of athletes, the off season is like their strength and hypertrophy season, and then like preseason and during the season is when they're working on things like physical conditioning and also, you know, maintaining some of their other skills like explosiveness, agility, whatever it is that they happen to need during the season, right? So if you are not given enough time during the off season to not only heal mentally and physically, because mental fatigue is a thing, adrenal fatigue is a thing, 100%. Overtraining, if you don't get enough time to bounce back from it, it can affect you for months. So it's like, if you end the season overtrained and you don't have enough time to both improve your strength and get past your overtraining, and then the season starts again, you might never get past it. And so it could be something that's happening mentally, like as far as your awareness, that's causing you to maybe compensate or play in different ways that ultimately leads to an injury. Or it could be literally that your body isn't healing properly because your trainer's like, well, you have to do XYZ for 90 days. And if that means your rest period gets cut short because of that, and you're like, well, I'm doing this for my team and I do it anyway. Anyway, I won't get too deep into it. All I'm saying is that certain things happen during certain parts of the year. And that strength phase of training is important because the strengthening of your muscles is what strengthens your body to be able to undergo all the stress that you put on it during athletic competition. So if they're not given enough time to rest and train during that period, yes, it will have bad ramifications, especially when you're playing over 80 games in a season. So there's that.
Yeah, that's also crazy. Amount of games that they play, I'm like, wow. How are you still like standing?
Yeah, and so that's why I'm just like, yeah, they're making some of them. They're not even all making millions of dollars,
right?
The ones who aren't playing as much. So. but anyway, even though they are making a lot of money, because even the people on the bench are still making what I would consider a lot of money.
Oh yes,
it's just another example of we're not going to consider your humanity in this situation. Right. We're going to look at this privilege you have and be like, you should shut up and dribble. Right. Even though, let's be real, those same talking heads, like when people are telling them to shut up and dribble about their social justice initiatives, it was a problem. But then they're talking about their personal physical health, and it's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. You need to just shut up and play the game. I was just like, what? He's trying to teach y'all something. He's trying to make a point.
Shut up and listen.
Listen sometimes.
Listen sometimes.
Okay. So the last thing that I want to talk about is Candace Parker and the NBA 2K cover. I love Candace Parker. Oh my goodness. Like, she's just one of those women athletes that I just like she just dominates her sport, and she does it in a way that nobody else does it. Like, I just love watching her play. I love watching her compete. She just brings something to the game, like, just in her character, like, not to mention her skill, but in her character, she brings something to the game that I just don't see in everybody. I love it. So yeah, apparently the people who make NBA 2K agree to some level. They put her on a cover. So congrats, Candace.
Congrats, Candace.
She's the only woman to be on the cover of any of the games in the NBA 2K franchise. And they have multiple covers. And so this was for the GameStop exclusive cover. So I'll say from the press, from celebs, from professional athletes, I've seen a lot of applause, praise, congratulations. But it's like the fans, like, yes, these are just randos on Twitter, so maybe I shouldn't care, but I just really don't understand why people have such a problem with a woman being on the cover of NBA 2K. Like, what's the problem? Like, why are you threatened by this? Why is it an issue?
I don't know. It's a very misogynistic, like, oh, why is she up there? I could have been up there.
No, they can't.
Right.
I wish I understood it, because some of the comments I was seeing, and I don't know if people are saying this for shock value, but somebody was like, women's place is in the kitchen, not on the cover of NBA 2K.
Bitch, go home, read some books, listen to some people, and stop saying bullshit.
And just that, and people just generally being upset, like, women don't need to be a part of everything that we do, and, why is a woman on this cover? And I'm like, because she's a fucking beast.
Yes!
Like,
yes, exactly. Exactly.
I really was trying hard to understand. So, here's my history lesson for the listeners out there. So, I don't necessarily expect the WNBA to have as many fans as the NBA. I don't necessarily expect the women to make as much money right now. And here's why. The sport is relatively young. Okay. The WNBA was founded in 1996. Mm-hmm. So that was
2 minutes in history. 2 minutes ago.
So that was like
25 years ago.
Yeah, 25 years ago. That wasn't very long in the grand scheme of things, especially when you consider the fact that the NBA was founded in 1949. And the leagues that existed to come together to create the NBA, well, really it was that one league, the Basketball Association of America absorbed the National Basketball League. And they together made the National Basketball Association. Mm-hmm. So there were professional leagues that existed before that, right?
Right.
So we're talking about the 1940s, a time when a woman...
Most of y'all weren't even born, so...
Right. A woman, it wasn't an option or even a thought that a woman would be an athlete, especially this type of athlete. Like, thinking about gender being a social construct, like, that's come up a lot with National Non-Binary People's Day being yesterday, or International Non-Binary People's Day being yesterday. So a lot of conversations about gender being a social construct. And it's like, if you think about it in this context, in the 1940s, it's like a woman like you and I who, you know, I'm sitting here in sweatpants, you're wearing shorts, you know, we both been to the gym today. We would be considered genderqueer just for doing that.
Right.
You know, like we're leaving the house, we're unmarried, no makeup on,
driving
wearing pants,
our own cars,
lifting heavy weights. Who do we think we are? Like, so it's like the professional basketball was able to establish itself before women would have even had a remote opportunity to do so. And then when you think about the fact that, you know, fandoms, they grow generationally. So we've seen studies of the psychology of sports fans that kind of show that, like, people who play a certain game as a youth will often grow to love it as an adult. So once these sports like football and basketball exist for so many decades, you end up with these households where it's like a kid grows up playing the sport and their dad also grew up playing the sport. So it's just like in their blood. It's in their home. They're into it, you know? And even women like me, I didn't grow up playing basketball, but when I started to love basketball, you know, I was, you know, busy falling in love with Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman when the WNBA was being created. So it's like, I didn't grow up watching women's sports like that. So this period in time is really the first opportunity for women's basketball to develop that generational level of love and appreciation that these other sports have experienced, right? So it's very young in that sense. And I say all that to say, like, I'm not one of these people out here who are like, women's basketball players should be paid the same. You know, I'm like, I think they'll get to that point. Absolutely. And I really admire the amount of work that the NBA is doing to help the WNBA get to that point. I love seeing all these ventures where NBA players are sharing the spotlight with WNBA players, like Chris Paul in his State Farm commercials. Like LeBron James in Space Jam 2. You know, there were WNBA players brought in for that project. Sue Bird did something recently. I can't remember if it was another State Farm commercial or something else. But, you know, even talking about the WNBA during breaks, like timeouts for the NBA playoff games. And I know it's not a lot, but it's something. You know, they're doing a lot to help the WNBA, you know, end up being a success. And it just really made me think about, like, there was a promotion, and I haven't seen it in a while. Basically a video saying, like, hey, all these things that you keep saying, like, we're not physical enough, we don't trash talk, we don't dunk. Like, it's not true. We do all those things. The only problem is that you're not watching. And I'm inclined to believe them, because recently there was a game between the Chicago Sky and the Washington Mystics where there just so happened to be a nearby AAU tournament taking place. And some of the competitors and other attendees at the AAU tournament ended up attending this particular game. That arena was packed. The crowd was hype. They were into it. They were doing the wave. The game was physical. The atmosphere looked like so much fun. But, you know, these people had a reason to go. You know, they were more motivated to watch than the typical person, right? So, like I said, the WNBA hasn't been around as long. So it's not so much that I expect them to get everything right now. But I do believe that we're getting to a point where their fan base is going to grow. Their coverage is going to increase. And so I'm just like, yeah, this is one step in a very good direction. I won't even call it the right direction. Like, it was a marketing move by a video game company. So they did what they felt was right. But it was one step in a good direction for women's basketball. And I'm just like, why do so many people have a problem with this? Like, why is it 2021 and we're still dealing with this perception of women that, quite frankly, I don't even understand what the perception is right now. Like, when I say I don't understand why they have such a problem with her being on the cover, I literally don't get it. Sometimes I'll look at things and I'm like, I see why they're pissed off. I don't like it, but I see it. But this one I was just like, are you really that threatened by the idea of a woman not fitting this little box of what you think a woman should be or where you think that she would be, that it just bothers you this much? Like, seriously?
I mean, I don't see another explanation. It's like, I don't know. I don't think I will ever understand why some men feel so threatened by a woman that's doing better than them. That's it. Why? Like, can you just, if it would have been any other male player from the NBA, nobody would have said nothing.
I don't know if nobody would have said anything because sometimes there is pushback about a certain man.
It would have been Booker.
But it's usually
he's
because
too young. He's just immature.
Devin Booker too young to be on TV.
Yeah.
No, but it's usually something like that. It's usually like it should have been another man, right? Like nobody would ever be like, I can't believe you put a man on the
Yeah, right. Because it's understood that that's what you're supposed to do.
Like I saw one person,
the norm, quote unquote, to put a woman on the cover.
I saw one person who was like, if you put anybody on the cover, it should have been Sue Bird. And they made legitimate arguments for why Sue Bird should have been on the cover. Okay. I'm like, okay. I don't appreciate you.
Not behind.
Right. I don't appreciate you suggesting that, Candace Parker shouldn't be on the cover. Like, she's a fucking shit. Right. But at least you made a legitimate argument. But all these people are like, a woman?
How dare.
But, this is the point that we have to remind ourselves and each other. A lot of people on Twitter are immature teenagers. Like, actual children.
Yeah.
So we don't know who we're dealing with. Like, this is not an accurate sample of the people that represent views across the world. These could very well all be children. So,
I mean, might as well, or be like middle-aged white man that they feel very threatened by having a woman player on a cover. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's not hot enough for them. Maybe she's not cute enough to be in a cover. Like.
She's really cute.
I'm not. No. This is not my opinion. Don't you? No. This is what I think they might think. That's why. Because, I don't know. She's not feminine enough, or she's not, like.
Oh, Lord.
I know. Oh. Girl, you're talking to me. Like, oh, I know. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird when I hear these things still on 2021 being an issue. Like, it's 2021. What do you want? What do you want?
I mean, now I know what they want. Like,
well,
I think for a lot of men, especially the ones who have the audacity to go on Twitter and, slander someone who's clearly accomplishing great things in her career, it seems like they just want to be turned on. Like, a woman's place is like, turn me on, cook for me. You're not supposed to be out here the star of your own story. Like, what do you think this is?
Right.
Even there were even some comments that kind of suggested that, like, oh, the WNBA players should, know their place, in the shadows of the NBA, just stuff like that. Just as almost like the WNBA is nothing more than a charity case to the NBA, and they shouldn't be trying to, advance as a sport or as athletes themselves. So I know what they want.
That's
like
crazy.
when in the league before the one I'm in now, I remember trying to make some marketing moves for that league, and I talked to a former friend of mine now, who at the time was a marketing professional, and I was like, what do you think we could do differently? And he was like, why don't you hire models for your game posters? And I was like,
whoa.
I was like, we always put a star skater on one of the posters, and he's like, yeah, but I think that might be the issue. Y'all just aren't pretty enough. And I was just like,
I wish you could see my face. And I hope y'all's face is just like mine. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, he said that in all earnestness. Like, yeah, if you want more people to come to your bouts, you should put models on the cover, and more people will want to come to the bouts. And he just said that like it was just so matter of fact.
So casual, yes.
Yeah. And I was just like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, don't get me wrong. Some of my teammates are hot, but I'm like, we're not.
They could have put you in the fucking cover. Shit.
Oh, man. I was never good enough to make a poster at that time.
Oh, Lord.
But I'm like, I don't know if they wanted Candace Parker to be posed in a bikini.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is that what you're expecting? Like, Yeah, I play basketball, but on the sidelines, you know. What?
The whole thing was just weird to me. I was just like, because when I saw other professional athletes, I was just like, yes, I love seeing this positive response. And I think I was hoping fans, especially fans of those specific athletes, would take that cue and also, you know, be excited, especially considering like there's more than one cover. Like if you really want a cover with a man on it, if it matters that much to you,
put a sticker
it's
on
like
it.
if you love men that much.
I mean, hey, maybe that's your issue.
I mean, who knows? You know? But like, you can just buy another cover. You don't have to talk shit on Twitter. But
well, you know, people are very, very brave behind a keyboard.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, they definitely would say none of that to her face.
If we were to have this conversation with them face to face,
yeah, I mean, like us, like all the athletes that they talk about, if they were actually to see them face to face, they would never say half the stuff.
Yes,
I would though. If I saw Devin Booker, I would tell him to his face how sexy he is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would tell you straight up, like, nah, dude.
Anyway, on that note, this has been the first episode of Bitches Who Love Sports. I'm Bitch 2.
I'm Bitch 1.
Y'all have a good night and day.
And whatever time it is.